So we're going to run a single room dollhouse, and in that prop we're able to simulate the effects of vent controlled, fuel controlled. We can do a separated fire from the ignition source, so we can end up burning the superheated gases venting out and they actually ignite the fire on the exterior of the structure. And then demonstrate by shutting off the disconnecting the fire from the inside and still have the gases continue to burn. And it's a good model to demonstrate how the different theories of fire behavior and fire dynamics. We should be able to get a little bit of a flashover. We should definitely be able to see a rollover, and we should be able to have the ability to start the superheated gases on the exterior of the structure.
Bit of a bang, a bit of a...
little bit of, we'll get a woof at least out of it.
I hope there's no bang.
Yeah, a little bit of woof.
You can actually show nearly all of the development stages of a fire in this little small scale box here. Very cheap, very easy to produce, and a very effective tool. So Jason's going to set it up in a minute. He's got his fuel in there. So you can see he's got his fuel in the corner there, and I think you've got some there's little pellets in there to help keep the fire going.
Fire starter pellet.
What we'll do is we'll light the fire up and we'll guide you through the stages of development. So in the early stages you're going to see a fuel control fire. You'll see air flowing in towards the base of the fire, setting up the convection current, the heated smoke, and air will move up to the top of the container, it'll flow out through the top. Move across the ceiling and flow out through the top there. So what you want to see, you'll see a typical bi-directional laminar air track or flow path. As the fire starts to develop, the thickness of the smoke will start to increase, the neutral plane will come down, and eventually we'll get to the stage of the competition between the fire's need for air and the amount that's being blocked off by the smoke. So as the pressure plane increases, it starts to block off the inlet. And eventually we'll get to the stage where the fire needs more air than that opening will allow. And you'll start to see the neutral plane will go turbulent, moving into a ventilation control profile then. You'll see all that. You'll start to see, you won't see a typical flashover, but you'll start to see flames coming down from the ceiling area. That's getting pretty close to flashover. There'll be a rollover. And sometimes they'll put a little prop in here, and you can see it actually starting to pyrolyse. So once we do that, we'll start playing around with the air. So we'll build it up to a certain stage, we'll exclude the air, and the fire will go out. We'll have to reignite the fire. And then as the fire gets hotter and hotter, as we close it off, it's going to reignite. And we'll get to, eventually, we've got to get the temperature right. There's a bit of a skill between the durability of the box, how long it lasts, and getting those backdraft conditions. Once you get that temperature, you can just do backdraft after backdraft after backdraft after backdraft. I think we got up about 50 or 60. We used to have competition so you get the most backdrafts. But if the box burns through before that, you start to get leakage, you won't even get one. We'll also, once Jason started up,
the other thing that with this fuel, it's a little bit damp, so it's going to be interesting to see how much steam we get out of it right away.
Generally when you're doing these, it's really important not to get in the smoke. Tell your students to stay out of the smoke. We're really lucky here. We've got the ability to sort of put the smoke out. We're not being affected by the wind. If you haven't got the luxury of this sort of facility, you have to think very carefully about where you do this demonstration, because you do not want smoke blowing down into the students' faces. It's not good stuff. And if you have to, put a breathing apparatus on. If we were outside now, I'd get the lead instructor to put a breathing apparatus on. Another thing I want to show you, it'll reach a certain point. When it gets hot enough, we'll put a match or put something over the top here to see if we can ignite the smoke. In the early stages it won't ignite, nothing will happen. And as the fire starts to develop, as you start to get more fuel, you'll be able to ignite that flame. You take it away, it'll go out. And eventually it'll be hot enough, so as soon as you'll actually see it, we restrict that opening enough, the fire will actually go out inside, so we'll have smoke discharging and auto-igniting outside. That's a really cool phenomenon to show the guys. We've got our fire lit in the corner. You can already see we're starting to develop a neutral plane. In the early stages of a fire, the first thing to come off is water at about 100 degrees Celsius. And while that's coming off now, will actually be water vapour.
Just turn around.
a little bit of wind coming through here. So in the early stages, white smoke, there's probably a bit of steam coming off there. The boards will start to pyrolise. We'll start to get some yellow or even brown smoke coming off. That's the lignin and the tar breaking down in the timber. When we start to get the blacker smoke, we know we've got flaming combustion, active flaming combustion involving the linings itself. So really, we've got a very small fuel load. What's going to be burning is the contents. The actual linings themselves, the actual structure itself. You can see the level of neutral flame. It's just around about there. It's nice and lazy. It's a nice laminar or smooth neutral plane. Yep, you're starting to get a little bit of change of smoke colour. The volume of smoke is increasing. If you've got a good view of the front there, you see the white smoke will sit at the bottom of the neutral plane. That's the pyrolysis products. It's sitting down low because it's denser. It's actually quite heavy. It's a lower temperature. The flame's starting to roll the ceiling now in the box. Just starting, so it's not actually a rollover yet, but the flame's bending. And that's pretty common when you've got a fire located in the corner of the room. If you put the same fuel load in the middle of the room, that flame won't lengthen because it's got air coming at it from 360 degrees. Developing nicely, starting to get a little bit of change of smoke colour. See that? See that smoke just sit at the bottom there? You'll see that in the container too. In the demos today, you'll see that with white pyrolysis smoke. If they get the loading right, you'll see it coming out of the back of the boards, just sitting there. And when that ignites, it's almost a transparent flame. It actually goes down, seeking the oxygen. Quite distinctive from the flames you'll see running the ceiling. Take a look at the volume now. Rapidly increasing. We're starting to get some darker coloured smoke there. Just a little bit more. The flame almost right across the ceiling level.
I'll just shut it down just a little bit. Down a little bit more.
So now we're starting to restrict the oxygen supply. It's still in the fuel controlled mode. It's fairly laminar neutral flame. What I normally do is I'll just let this build pretty close to the point where it goes into fuel ventilation control. Just show that transition from fuel control to ventilation control. Look at the changing conditions just by restricting that air supply a little bit. There's a massive change in conditions. Neutral flames around about here, much darker. It's becoming turbulent. Because we've restricted the size of the opening, we're starting to get a competition. The fire's still not real big, so it's able to draw enough air in reasonably well.
John, if you lowered that occlusion a little bit more, would you start to get some pulsing?
Yeah. It will. Just let it go to ventilation control. Okay. There you go. Okay, so we've got, it's not quite flashover, but in this scale it's about as close as we're going to get to flashover. So just about put the fire out there by restricting the oxygen supply.
I think we can go full vent limited right now.
Okay.
Control. See the pressure?
Yeah.
It's good to have a bit of paper or something to actually start playing with this smoke now. So what we normally start doing now is seeing them ignite that smoke, and the answer should be no. There's a little
It's right here.
Okay, there you go. Look at that. Perfect. So what's happening there?
Wow.
There's a smoke burn. That's fairly clean looking smoke. Very early stages, we've already got enough flammable fuel causing the that to ignite it.
If we go vent controlled again.
Listen to it.
Wow.
See the forces.
It'll go out.
Changing colour of the smoke. Volume of smoke's changed.
So it's disconnected right now, or it was for a second there. Did you see that? Yeah.
What I like to do sometimes is cut it off that way, because I can actually start to see that pulsing
Oh, yes.
I'll make it, much more ventilation controlled. So what I'm trying to do now is to get a separation. There we go.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
So you see that?
Yeah.
So you see inside it was practically no flaming combustion, but it was hot, above the auto ignition temperature. You just needed to get outside. See, that's just on the edge. Right on the edge. And some of these techniques we'll show you involve putting water above the doorway, cooling that down. So when the smoke comes out superheated, instead of meeting a preheated surface, it meets a cold, moistened surface. Reduces the chance of the ignition occurring. So Jason's actually cooling above the box there. If we could.
He's trying.
No pressure, no pressure. Look at that. There's separation there.
Yeah.
That's auto ignition. Look at it. So we put it out. So just, you can really show the relationship between air and fire. We'll have to crank it, mate. So at this point in time, the box is not hot enough to backdraft, so it's going out. So what the challenge now, when you're doing a demo, is to get that temperature of the box up without burning the outside or without getting it breaking through there, because once you do that, you can't demonstrate the backdraft. So it's a bit of a balancing act now. So we also try to do to preserve the box. Yeah, just a little bit of water above that area there. That extends the life of the box. Get through, Dora. Look at that. Come on up, look. Didn't quite do it. Sometimes you can push it back and get it to backdraft. Let's get the temperature build up a little bit. So basically, the big trucks you got outside, you don't need them. You can be issued with one of these, personal issue with all your problems solved.
You can do a lot just with the.
We got the backdraft. That's hot now. That's really coming out pretty intense.
Look at the pressure.
It's right on the edge now, so we've got that temperature there. We've just got to keep the integrity of the box together. We can start demonstrating some backdrafts. Let's get the temperature up. It's a temperature-driven event. So auto ignition is anyway. It's not quite hot enough to auto ignite. Fill it up a little bit more. You're going to have a bit of a load in it. Going back to a white smoke, indicating pyrolysis. Pyrolysis, relatively low temperature, little as 300 degrees Celsius. Flaming combustion, 600 degrees Celsius or more.
One, two to be able to darken it down.
Just one thing, guys. We've never not backdraft one of these things. No pressure, Sean.
Already came pretty close. Actually, sometimes it's good to actually not put water above there because it becomes an ignition point for you. There's a number of ways you can trigger a backdraft. One of them is through auto ignition, one of them is from the original fire rekindling. And we're trying to use the auto ignition method here. But what we've actually been doing, Jason's been lighting it up when we haven't got the auto ignition. He's been helping it. And that could be, the mechanism could be stirring up of an ember from the air track into the building. Look at the pressure in there.
Yeah.
Got some temperature here. And you know, once you've got this happening, you can keep going all day long.
You can see it auto ignites up at ceiling height. And as we do more of them, you'll probably see, you watch. Ceiling height, did it come from up the area?
That's 4.
63 to go. Beat the record.
He's not trying until he burns the guy in the front row.
Yeah, well, you can get pretty powerful ones if you get the mixture on. So we've done a bit of that. That's good. We've got our backdraft happening. Let's just do some experimentation. So what if we put water in through the base of the fire? What's going to happen there, you reckon? Let's see. Okay, we're pulsing it. We're cheating. We're cheating it a little bit. Let's just see what happens when we go to the top. Now let's just, we know it's going to backdraft if we open it up. Why don't we try some door entry techniques? Close it down and squirt a little bit of water in there before we open it up. Okay, so it delayed things, didn't it? And if we put enough in there, we would have stopped the whole process. We don't want to stop the process, we don't want to spoil the fun. But you can see just a little bit of water in there gave us the edge. Close it off. With a door entry technique, let's cool above the lintel and the linings there. Open it up a little bit, put a few squirts of water on the top there. Okay, I'm not going to go any further because I want it to reignite, but you can see the difference, can't you? Just a little bit of water in there gave us the edge. And that's one of the techniques we'll be teaching you over this couple of days is door entry technique. And I said when you make an opening, be prepared for the sorts of events that can occur. We're going to equip you with just some good basic simple tools that can make a massive difference in what you're likely to encounter. They're really powerful techniques. If you look at the case studies we look at, if people had been aware of the impact their openings would have made, and that have practiced these few simple techniques, a lot of people would be alive today. Just one technique. She's going, yeah. We're starting to lose integrity of the box. Look at that. Oh, we got temperature now. We got temperature. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Smoke burns.